All right, ladies and gentlemen, shifting a bit of gears there, before we go on to discussing on the cybersecurity aspect and the startups, it's time actually right now for a fireside chat that's going to be centered around IPO is the new normal for the unicorns, the changing policies, and the funding, very importantly, for the startups. Well, I have some of the finest minds waiting backstage. So allow me to please warmly welcome and with a round of cheer, let's welcome Ashish Chauhan, the MD and CEO, BSE. Along
Thank
with
you.
him, we'll also have Ashutosh Sharma, the India Head Investments and M&A from Process Ventures. And of course, the session would be moderated by of course, you've heard him hearing the and holding the strings of the conversation. So Amit Nauka, the partner deals and leader startups, PwC India, would be once again joining us to moderate the discussion. Amit, it's over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chika. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be here to talk to Ashish Chauhan from BSC and Ashutosh Sharma from Process at a time when the startup ecosystem is buzzing with news of big IPOs and large private equity transactions. Um, well, while Ashutosh has been playing a very significant role in deciding the IPO plans of his portfolio companies, which have several unicorns, Ashish has been in the forefront of creating a very vibrant public market ecosystem in India. Welcome, Ashish and Ashutosh.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you.
Ashish, if I would direct my first question to you. Given the state of the current market and the recent successful listings, we have many tech startup IPOs lined up. Historically, there was a general sense of reluctance amongst the startups to list in India. What, in your view, is different now?
I think, in a way, it was a untried activity, I would say. Especially, most startups were not in Mumbai. And so they were all frightened by saying that the taxation will be high, and that's why they were getting structured in Singapore or in other places and all. And once you structure there, you actually lose on your option available in India. And then what happened is the capital gains tax was imposed, but it's only 10%. So finally, you end up paying only 10% if you count with an IPO and actually list your shares, sell them. I think it has taken us like 10 years now. I mean, I have been in BSC for 12 years now, and 10, probably 10 plus years. We have been discussing, debating, coming out with newer regulations each time to promote listings of startups. In fact, we were told that startups will migrate to Singapore and they will list, and they will list in US. I think one startup listed on Make My Trip, I think in US. One of the, I think, Make My Trip or somebody listed in US, and you see the reason. I mean, why people are willing to now do it in India. And one guy starts doing it, you can see kind of a series of them coming and listing, because Indian market is very good. Only thing is, Indian markets also expect profit at some point in time, right? So you have to be very sort of clear on your path to profit. And otherwise, we have now an SME platform. That is what we call small and medium scale enterprise platform. We have almost 330 companies listed. They are all, many of them are robotics companies, high tech companies of various sorts. We also have a startup platform where you can list even a 1 crore, because many times we think only the unicorns are the startups. It's a great way to market the large companies as startups. But for me, when you want to start a new company, you may not get even 1 crore. BSC is able to get you 1 crore also. Today also, a company called Napbook from Gujarat got listed in our startup platform. It's a 11th company, and today also we have got the 12th prospectus on that. The basically key is that we get you very low amounts, we get you very high amounts, whether you are Zomato or you are Napbook, probably 1 crore. And incubator in BSC building itself, as well as in Varanasi, in Banaras Hindu University, where even if you want 1 lakh, we get you. If you want 1 lakh crore, we get you. So effectively, now we have a spectrum of sort of companies coming and raising funds on us. But over a period, I think if you have a good path to profit, then Indian markets might reward you more. But today I can see very large number of companies, even from the high-tech sector, wanting to come and list.
Right. Paths to profitability. I think that's a phrase that you repeated twice. Ashutosh, when you have got several tech startups, like as your portfolio companies, and about I think 5 or 6 of them are unicorns. And in your experience about with dealing with these companies, I think these questions that Ashish mentioned would have come into the discussions. What in your view would be the top 4 or 5 factors that go into deciding whether to go in for an IPO? And also, I would like you to touch upon the specific point that Ashish mentioned, that earlier Singapore holding company listing abroad. How do you see that changing?
Sure. Thanks, Amit. I think it'd be unfair for me to comment on specific companies, but overall for us as an investor, not being a fund puts us in a slight bit of an advantageous position that our holding periods are much longer. And therefore, from our side, there is no initiative to take the company's IPO. It's a pure business decision. But as for companies, I think like every business decision, there's a lot of gives and takes here. And the decision to go IPO is a big one and should be made in balance. The reasons to go IPO, I think the most basic one is that you get access to this low-cost, long-term permanent capital. Low-cost permanent capital, right? Do you have a use for it? I think is the big question. If you do, then probably this is a good reason to go IPO. The second one in my mind is probably the buzz around the company. There will be stories printed about you, about your history, how you got here. There is TV shows on you, etc., etc. As a consumer company, that brand building would go a long way, especially if you are a consumer company in India. Even if you are not a consumer company, it would still sort of help you with softer aspects like hiring the right talent. It will also help you retain the right talent because all of a sudden your ESOP is much more liquid and therefore probably much more valuable. I think the third aspect is sort of some sort of a help with M&A. You all of a sudden have this currency which can be treated like cash. So when you're buying a potential target, your stock will be more valuable than someone else's. Second reason, of course, is there is no debate around mark to market. The price is very clear in such situations. So there is many reasons why one would want to go IPO. On the flip side, as Mr. Chauhan said, there is certain expectations of public markets. The number one is just the maturity of the company, which is in some sense reflected in predictability. And predictability to the extent that you can meet your commitments to the market. If you meet them, you trade at a premium. But if you don't meet them, you trade at a discount. So if you are still a evolving company, it's recommended that you probably think twice before going IPO. The second challenge to a certain extent is that public markets expect a certain level of compliance, of governance, which takes a reasonable amount of management's time. And so if as management you don't have that bandwidth and you are sort of occupied with taking the company to the next level, probably that's again something that you should think about. So many pros and many cons, or many considerations, I would say, and then sort of the final decision really in balance of most of these items. To your question around sort of foreign listing, etc., I think today India provides fantastic opportunities. So I think the depth of market has increased both on the institutional side and the retail side. The foreign institutional investors are also coming to India. And so I would say in that sense, India is no lesser an option for a company, Indian company that wants to go IPO.
Thanks for laying it down so simply. Ashish, I would like to go back to the point that you were mentioning about some of the smaller companies go IPO. And historically, if you look at the Indian market, we have seen companies go IPO at various stages of its evolution and size. However, when we look at the tech startup ecosystem, the IPO pipeline which we are seeing are generally unicorns. And I'll ask this question to Ashutosh as well. What would be the factors to determine, the relatively smaller companies and like in the tech startup ecosystem, say valued at about 500 million or thereabouts, or say unicorns, exploring the public markets for capital raise in the coming years?
Yep. For me, whenever you wake up is the morning, right? So whenever you want to list is fine. As I think Ashutosh said, you need to be basically compliance oriented a little bit for if you want to specifically list on any exchange, whether in India or abroad. But other than that, I don't see whether, if you want to comply with on a quarterly results or a 6 monthly results, be answerable to more than few large shareholders, give details about yourselves and about somebody leaving, somebody joining. I think the public markets give you a tremendous amount of opportunities, and some of them he mentioned about liquidity for the ESOPs and taking people on, and even mergers, amalgam. In fact, it also can act as a defense for you if somebody tries to take over. Prices start going up if you are really valuable, and so there are many reasons why one would want to go and list. And I don't see why only the unicorns or unicorns should list. Pretty much everyone can list. It's just that the amount of hype that gets created due to the money they spend in media or otherwise during the IPOs, that we think only the unicorns are going IPO. As I told you, Napbook, you might not have heard. None of the audience might have heard, but it has gone for the listing. And what it requires, only 50 investors. It doesn't require like 50,000 investors or 500,000 investors. It requires 50 investors to list on BSE, right? And pretty much you can list even a raise of 50 lakh rupees. And for that, what is required is basically the cost of raise, that is merchant banking fees and other things, as a percentage of the total raise. Because if it's negative, then you wouldn't want to list. Even if it's substantially, you don't want to read. And that's where what I've been told is in US and UK and everywhere, the cost of raising funds is very large because of the lawyers and also the stuff involved. And even the investment bankers, they don't go for a small ticket size. That's why you see only the large guys going IPO. Whereas in India, we have at BSE, we have developed an ecosystem of merchant bankers, lawyers, PR guys, who actually do it at literally 20-30 lakh rupees on a period of 3 years of market making and all, right? So effectively, many companies, as I told you, 335 plus companies have actually got listed, which have raised like average 8 to 10 crore rupees, which is $1 million, right? Million and a half, right? And they have done wonderfully well over the last 7-8 years. It's just that they don't create as much hype because they don't have to. They've got the money they wanted. They're running their business. And those companies which have raised around 3,500 crore rupees, which is like $500 million, are now valued at $5 billion, 35,000 crore rupees, right? So effectively for me, that is the success. Of course, Zomato or anyone else similarly coming and raising funds is a great news for India and Indian startup ecosystem and everyone, that you can aspire to be in that league. But you can actually list when you are small, and you can also become that size. Like I give you one example, which many of us have forgotten, especially from Bangalore. There was a company which came out with an IPO in 93, 94. And the IPO actually failed. I think it was at 70 rupees. And the underwriters to the issues were forced to actually buy that. And that company became like a 1,000 bagger or 10,000 bagger later on, is now known as Infosys, right? And so when it was a startup, it got listed. And now we know the story, right? And so for me, from Bangalore, there has been a steady stream of small companies coming and listing on BSE. And many times I ask people in such audience, then finally, if you want to become a Dhirubhai Ambani or a Ratan Tata or a Narayan Murthy or a Nandan Nilekani, what is the commonality amongst all of them? Their businesses are different, right? But they became what they are is because they listed on BSE. So if you don't list on BSE, you are nobody, right? Let's face it. So start it from beginning, right? It requires you to be a little more sort of compliance oriented, but that is good for you, right? Why not? And so whenever you wake up, if you want 1 crore, come to BSE. If you want 1 lakh crore, come to BSE.
Very interesting, Ashish. Ashutosh, if I would ask you the same question about the stage of listing. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. I think, look, I completely agree with Ashish. There's many examples of non-tech companies that listing at that ballpark valuation, Amit, that you highlighted. In tech world, I think there is two things happening there. One, there is a lot of money in private markets, and therefore these companies think that the charm at this time to go IPO may not be as much. I think when this liquidity or this availability of capital dries up, they may rethink. The other thing is when a company is at that kind of valuation in the tech world, I mean, there is a lot still evolving in the company. I mean, I don't want to take names here, but there is enough companies that are not even generating $1 of revenue, but are at that valuation, right? How do you convince public markets of the story there is the big question. So I think that evolution takes them to the next level when they will be sort of much more ready to list than now.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Ashutosh. Ashish, if I may ask you my final question. I want to cover the topic quickly on the regulations. Indian regulators are doing their bit to support the startup ecosystem and to keep up with global trends. And BSE itself, like you highlighted, has taken several initiatives. Are there any changes that are being thought through or being explored to make listing of startups even easier?
I mean, every day, SEBI has some very bright people, and SEBI also actually sets up committees, right? So of people who are from the market, from the industry. And so several committees continue to have their meetings every day. And one of the hot topics is how do we create that ecosystem? How do we become the best market for the startups, best ecosystem for the startups, and largest number of startups should list or at least start in India and things like that, right? So everyone, I think, is focused on that at the regulatory end. And so many things are being discussed over the last 10 years, as I told you. So many things have come. Some of them have found some traction. Some of them have not found traction. The ones where we had the largest hope, the institutional platform, where none of the companies got listed because 5 companies which are supposed to be unicorns, for whom we created the regulations, actually never came because they stopped being unicorns later on. By the time it came to that sort of time to list. And later on, many other companies started coming up and becoming listed, right? So for me, it's a continuous process. Many things which you keep on hearing, especially if you're an ecosystem which doesn't look at the financial markets, you may not know what is happening. But clearly, SEBI is coming out with regulations and changing them based on the market feedback. One of them is differential voting rights, right? So even that is under consideration so that startups and the entrepreneurs get a leeway for a particular period to sort of have larger voting rights for their shares held vis-a-vis others, and so on and so forth. I don't know how far it can take you because it can also repel some of the larger investors from coming in when they don't see one vote, one right? I mean, one vote, one share kind of a stuff. So there are pros and cons, but SEBI is willing to sort of experiment, of course, with all sort of things where they create ways to control damage in case required. Yeah. And so they are also very cautious usually, but they are willing to experiment. And I think that's a good time to be in India as a startup. And when I used to be an entrepreneur myself, and I come from financial markets and IT also. And so I used to go to my friends who were in finance, who were in venture capital or in private equity, and they would say, boss, if you want to get funds from us, at least become $25 million, because below that ticket size, it is not worth it for us. And I used to say, if I have $25 million, why would I come to you, right? And that's where basically I promote young entrepreneurs, small companies to come and list. They don't have to actually depend on those guys to give them valuation or give them funds. The market is willing to give you funds, and that's what I wanted to also convey to everyone, saying today 99.999% of the startups don't get funding, despite whatever you read in newspapers or wherever. I am actually targeting those guys in addition to those 0.001% who have become large, right? So for me, the spectrum is full, not that 0.001%. And I think that is true with SEBI too. SEBI also wants more people to come in and also get funding from the markets.
I'll take a line to conclude what you just said. It's a good time to be a startup. So on that note, I would like to thank you, Ashish, and thank you so much, Ashutosh, for sharing your perspectives. I'll pass it on to Shikha to take it forward from here. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Ashutosh, Amit, and Ashish, the towering trio, I must say. Firstly, thank you for just wrapping right there in time, and thank you for your much needed guidance on the dynamic policies that are ever changing in the dynamic scenario, and also on the funding for the startups. Thank you very much. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, before we get the agenda back on the road, delegates, we'll just quickly ask you to check the NetApp booth at the exhibition area and fill in the feedback forms there, as 10 lucky winners will stand an opportunity to win amazing Amazon vouchers worth INR 1,000 each. So come back soon, lest you miss some insights on startups and cybersecurity. We'll be right there.